Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Very happy to have this conversation because we're letting you know that over 20 local organizations will be demonstrating circular economy in action at the Circular City at the 2024 iteration of the Trade and Investment Convention. And this is from July 11 to 13. To speak to that, we have the project officer at the EMA, Kimberly Phillip-Daniel, as well as communications lead at the Cropper Foundation, Ardene Sirjoo. Now, let's build it from the ground up, please. So when we say circular economy, Kimberly, what are we referring to?
So basically what we're referring to, and to put it in very layman terms, is trying to keep products around as long as possible, right? So we all do this, and sometimes you don't even realize we're doing this. And because I have kids, I like to draw reference to clothing, right? So we all grew up with a lot of cousins, we all grew up with a lot of siblings, and sometimes when it is, you think, oh, I have secondhand clothes, but that action of keeping clothes around, giving it to your cousin, giving it to your brother, your sister, that forms part of the circular economy, right? So instead of just throwing away something, you now find another use for it, you find another purpose, you give it to someone else. If it's broken, you refurbish it in some way, right? And what we try to encourage is adopting a circular economy will now form part of the solution in the global climate emergency by encouraging persons to adopt a different mindset, to encourage them to rethink, to recreate, to recycle, to regenerate their mindset.
And can I tell you that I am the second child, but the first child in my older sibling is a girl. So some of those things used to be some of these sartorial styles used to be a little interesting from time to time until I outgrew her. But I like the fact that you broke it down into layman's terms. And let me ask you to do that as well, please, Ardene, because when we hear that's good thing, it's something my ears perk up already. So what is the campaign about?
So the campaign is about, well, it's part of a wider circular economy project that the Cropper Foundation is implementing for the IDB. So it's been going on for just over 2 years now. And That's Good Thing is really just at the tail end of that project. So it's a campaign that is focused on waste minimization. The idea is to get us to focus on 5 R's: reuse, reduce, repair, repurpose, and recycle. Yeah, so it is all of those belong to what we call the circular economy. If you're practicing any of those or all of those, preferably, you are in fact taking a circular economy approach, whether as a consumer or as a business. And I think it's a bigger conversation that we're trying to have in Trinidad and Tobago about waste and our attitude to waste. Culturally, we do struggle, DK. I'm sure you would admit, we do struggle with this idea of what we are entitled to. And I think it has led to a lot of waste in terms of how we treat with electricity, how we treat with water, those who have a constant supply of water. What is our attitude to these things, these resources, effectively, that we take for granted? And the same applies to actual consumer products. Instead of just throwing things out, what are the other ways in which we can extend the life of these things? So the Das Good campaign is just meant to focus on what are the good things that we are doing that traditionally we have done for many years, as Kimberly pointed out. This is not a new idea. It might sound like a new and fancy name, but the idea has been around a very long time. And as an alternative to the culture of disposability and waste, it has been around for decades. I think in Trinidad and Tobago, it's now catching up, but it's not anything new that we're talking about. And there are people here in this country who've been talking about it for a long time. I think what we're doing now is giving it a name. And so the whole point of Das Good Thing is to emphasize the good in what is already happening. And that's what the Circular City will, in fact, emphasize over those 3 days. We will be demonstrating and showing you all the people around, whether they're NGOs, whether they are small businesses, state entities like the EMA, SwimCall, and even corporations who have decided to embrace these principles. And we are saying that's good things.
And I think I have a nuance that I can say it now, as in the sense that when people you're looking to throw away something and they say, but we train up, but that's good thing, boy. We train up.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And with that in mind, I want to ask you, please, Kimberly, how much of it is mental? Because yes, there'd be things, structures to put in place, policies to help organize these things, but how much of it is just mental? So are we looking to repair? Are we looking to repurpose? Are we looking to see how else can we use this if we're no longer able to use it in the way that we originally intended when we purchased, when we got it, when someone gave it to us, or we found it?
Yeah. So a lot of time, as you said, is mental. Is about not relying on policies. Is not relying on any sort of incentive. Not relying on any sort of policing. It's about looking in the mirror and looking at yourself and saying, "There's no planet B. What can I do to make the change? How can I make sure that there is a world to live in after this generation leaves and the next generation comes about, right?" Now, the state entities, they have been making some progress with regards to ensuring that certain waste policies are in place. Minister Gonzalez would have recently made an announcement that there are 3 waste policies that has been approved and that should be forthcoming. But at the end of the day, as my colleague like to put it, we need to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, right? Because sometimes there are laws in place, there are little laws, but yet still we have a flooding problem, we have a litter problem, right? We should not depend on these laws and these policies, and we should not rely on this. It's mainly you as a person, look at it in a mirror and say, I need to do the right thing because that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for that. I see you nodding. I wish I had a collection basket to pass around, Ardene. But who are some of those people who are thinking in with this mindset already? Who are some of the people who are going to be exhibiting? You said it's over 20 local organizations. So who are some of these that we're seeing over the 3 days, 11th to the 13th of July?
So we have them categorized according to, there's a kind of typology. So we have the NGOs, as we mentioned. Under the NGO category, we have organizations like the Alliance of Rural Communities. We have I Am Movement, Cashew Gardens Community Council. And then there's some small businesses who do more of the education type work, like SILE Environmental Services Limited. There is also Central Pathfinders, Ideas Eye Foundation. And then, of course, there are places like Hello Green. There's Vetiver TT. I'm just obviously going off the top of my head. Flying Tree, which is a very common one, because I think what they've managed to do over the past few years has been quite fascinating in terms of their repurposing of plastics to make lumber and the various structures they've managed to create and showcase. Glassstick Designs is another such enterprise that is using a lot of plastics creatively, to the point where she set up a whole interior design company using repurposed plastic to create things for people's homes and spaces. And then, of course, we have Swim Call EMA. We have the Full Circle Challenge winners. I don't know if you've heard about that, but that was another component of the project, of the circular economy project that we're implementing. So that was to showcase the ideas, circular ideas, ideas promoting circular economy principles. And so we'll have the 3 winners of that challenge present over the 3 days at Circular City. So it's really quite a range of organizations, entities using sometimes old discarded products. A lot of them are also, as I said, focused on raising awareness, which is a big part of what this is about. How do we promote awareness of what do you do with e-waste? So many people responded overwhelmingly to the social media posts promoting the BCRC collection of phones. Even though the campaign had ended since last year, people were still very enthused by the idea that there's somewhere they could possibly drop off their phones. Because I'm sure, Dike, you have at least 2 phones at home that you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do with this? I probably need to wipe it still. You can't do anything with it until you wipe it clean, hopefully. But still, what do you do with that waste? It's not responsible of us to throw laptops and cell phones out with regular garbage. And so that is what these exhibitors will be showcasing, the progress they've made. They'll talk about the challenges they have as well, because as you can imagine, in a space where we don't value things, where waste is just something that is out of sight and therefore out of mind, um, they will talk about their challenges operating in an environment like this, where perhaps they don't have the legislation to support the work that they're doing. So I think it's quite a range that people will be exposed to, but also on the educational front, I think we have a lot to look forward to over those 3 days.
That is one of the things I want us to get back to when we return from the break, in the sense that just looking at the networking aspect of it, that is a question I want to ask each of you or both of you to answer. So stay with us. We are speaking with Project Officer at the EMA, Kimberly Phillip-Daniel, as well as Communications Lead for the Cropper Foundation, Ardene Sirjoo. And we're talking about That's Good Ting. It is Circular City at TIC, That's Good Ting, which happens July 11 to 13. Stay with us. We return after this. Welcome back. We are speaking about the circular economy and our role within it. We're doing so with Communications Lead at the Cropper Foundation, Ardene Sirjoo, as well as Project Officer at the EMA, Kimberly Phillip-Daniel. Ladies, how important is an initiative like this that brings these people together? One, to be able to share what it is they're doing, so to build awareness of the work that is being done, also to build awareness of how individuals can factor in. They know where to put this, they know where to send this, like, because you were speaking about that just before we took the break, Ardene, in terms of, I don't know where to do it, so hopefully I just have it, and hopefully I don't just chuck it with the rest of my garbage when I'm sending it. But how important is an initiative like this? And I'll ask you, please, Kimberly.
Sure. So what the Cropper Foundation has done is create this unique opportunity where they brought together a lot of different stakeholders, all with the same objective, right? And I love to say strength comes in knowing that you are not alone. And a lot of times you need these collaborative initiatives, and you need to strengthen these institutional framework and or create new ones, right? Because sometimes when it is you look at your carbon footprint and you're trying to do an initiative in Toco, that might not be feasible, but there's an NGO in Toco that can do the educational component of our eye care project, right? So what the Cropper Foundation has done is there's two things. There's a benefit to the public, where the public now has a one-stop shop of the majority of all the environmental conservation activities going. So when it is you go to the TIC, you don't have to call 10 different numbers trying to figure out, okay, where can I get educators? Where can I get a collector? Where can I get a processor? We are all right. There's a one-stop shop. And as well as for the exhibitors, as I said, we can now collaborate to see how best we can achieve our objectives. Because at the end of the day, we all share a common goal, and from state enterprises, from NGOs, we can all find a way to collaborate. So this is beneficial, as I said, to both of us, from the exhibitors' standpoint and from the public.
When I think of somebody like Daniel, who would, one is an educator, two has been putting in the work, and three is also kind of diversifying the way that that work looks. So there is this, she has the publications as well. So even like having people or like-minded people ask her, how did you do this? What was the best way to go about doing this, so that they don't need to go through some of the
reinvent the wheel? Yeah,
definitely. But
definitely.
let me not take away answering time from you, please, Ardene.
So that's okay. I wanted to say that we were really strategic in selecting TIC as the space to do that. You know, we could have alternatively created a sort of niche circular economy village that only spoke to those values and principles and invite people to come. But we thought there's already a massive trade and investment convention held every year in this country. It's perhaps the biggest in the entire region. Why not use that platform to talk to the stakeholders, all of the stakeholders? Because at TIC, you have such a wide range of businesses, not just the big ones, but the small ones, and people who are looking for attention and investment. And we thought this is really the platform to give these organizations we have been working with and collaborating with on this project. And I'm really grateful that Kimberly mentioned collaboration because that is really core to, I mean, anybody in an NGO would know that that is the only way we're able to work and get things done. We have to collaborate. But I think on this project in particular, I think it gave us a lot of pleasure. It's very rewarding to see how people work together. I mean, even the name Ting is a product of collaboration. It was about 6 of us sitting in a room at Lonsdale, hammering out the ideas that we wanted to drive home and realizing, there's so much negative promotion around waste. So much telling people, oh gosh, we're so dirty, pick up after yourself, stop doing this and don't do that. What about if we reinforced a positive message? And that's why the good was so important in that slogan, that's good thing. And really, we think TIC is just a formidable opportunity for us. And we're so happy that everybody has been so eager to come on board, including the TIC, who happily gave us a discount to be there. We have to recognize them for that. But I think they too embrace the idea that this is the direction that the entire world is going, not just NGOs and all the do-gooders or people we associate with all the good work in the world, but businesses are also going in that direction. International companies are being more mindful of their footprint and how they are adding, how they're contributing to waste, whether it ends up in landfills, like in our case, or even the oceans. And I think we, as small island developing states, we also have a role to play in that conversation.
And you're saying that, and I even read that the CEO of the TTMA, Dr. Mahindra Ramesh Ardene, was saying that he's excited for this to be taking place. But one of the reasons I like that fact that you didn't necessarily say, okay, well, we're going to do it as a village for ourselves. Many times you're preaching to the converted. So the people who already believe these things, the people who are already doing what it is they need to, and along those lines are the ones who will come to something like that. Versus being able to expand one reach, impact, and also possibilities. Because if you have somebody who's dealing and one of their outputs can be one of your inputs, that's a conversation to be had right there. So and just in terms of changing that mindset, looking at the fact that, no, this is not waste. This is just one of the things that I can be uses. So speak to that for me, please, Kimberly, because I see you're jumping at the bit a little bit.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that this is not waste, because we like to say that it's not waste, it's a resource, right? Because the same way we will partner with our strategic partner, Swimcall, to process the material. And on conversations with Swimcall, when it is we do site visit, they really try to not once it can be recycled, they try to not send it to the landfill, right? Once it's not degraded in any way. And upon reading their waste characterization study, we need to applaud ourselves as citizens, because we have very limited legislation with regards to waste, but yet still, and I'm going back to the saying, we are doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. In their waste characterization study, they would have indicated that there's a 35% increase in recyclable material entering their depots, which is their processing facilities. And again, this is a voluntary, this is based on no sort of legislation. This is just person saying, hey, let me do the right thing. As well as there has been a 5% decrease in recyclable material entering the landfill. So while we may still have a larger waste management problem, these small achievements, we need to say, yeah, good job, TNT, right? Our project, for example, iCare, has been around since 2015. We have about 500 collection sites, both in schools and public spaces, and in Tobago. We have diverted approximately 4 million bags from the landfill. Again, voluntary. This is a demonstration project to see if the population is ready for any sort of waste policies. And when I say y'all are ready. This is 4 million bags diverted with no sort of legislation, right? So pat yourself on the back, TNT. Good job.
While we're patting ourselves on the back, we also need to ask what is next. So we ask you, please, Ardene, in the last minute, in terms of what is next after Circular City for the That's Good Ting project.
So this is the end of the circular economy project we have been doing for the IDB. We do wish to extend the life, just, keeping with our circular economy principles. We love to extend the life of Das Good Ting. The campaign itself, right now it's a digital campaign. It's been on social media for the past 5 months. And the idea is to really find a way to keep it going because we have received a lot of traction based on the messaging going out there. And we think that with the right support and continued collaboration, we will be able to keep it going. So the idea is to find new ways, I think, to prioritize waste and waste management and our role in it as consumers, as businesses. We need to find ways to keep that message out there, that positive message out there.
Right, so ladies, I want to thank you so much for doing what it is you're doing and giving us things to look at and hopefully things to spark behavior change, because as opposed to going from one to the other. But thank you very much, Project Officer at the EMA, Kimberly Phillip-Daniel, as well as Communications Lead for the Cropper Foundation, Ardene Sirjoo. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Remember, this is on from the 11th to the 13th of July. It is a Circular City at the TIC. That is the Trade and Investment Convention. Thank you so much for joining us.